Why is it that so many people with alcohol dependence really struggle to quit drinking? In fact, if you look at data, it says that one of the few areas of consensus in the alcoholism treatment field is the recognition that alcoholism is a chronic condition with high risk of relapse. Treatment outcome studies have reported rates of 80% or more by 6 months post treatment discharge. So, 80% or more of people who go into treatment to quit drinking will relapse within 6 months of leaving treatment. That means 20% or less of people are actually getting better. Why is that? If you hear from experts in the field, therapists, doctors, oftentimes you'll hear them talk about trauma. That people, in order to get better or to quit drinking, they need to get to the root cause of their trauma. And once they heal their trauma, they can get better. Personally, as someone who struggled with an alcohol dependence for nearly 10 years, I disagree with this. What I think is really going on is the issue of desire. The reason that so many people struggle to quit drinking alcohol, even if they sincerely want to, even if they go into that treatment or they quit drinking and they mean it, they're sincere, they say, this is it, I'm done, but they end up relapsing. The reason I believe that is because of the desire for alcohol or the craving that they have for alcohol. And what I mean by that is this overwhelming urge to drink, to where it just consumes your every thought. I don't know if you have ever fasted before from water or food. A lot of people will find even just one day going without food, by the end of that day, all you're doing is thinking about food and dreaming about food and recipes. And you just have this craving and this obsession with food. Something similar happens when somebody is addicted to alcohol. We will sincerely tell ourselves and tell our loved ones that we're done, we want to put this behind us, we want to quit for good. But then what happens is our craving and our desire for it actually increases. It's called the alcohol deprivation effect. And all we do is obsess on drinking and think about drinking. And we just want to drink so badly that eventually, whether it's a day, couple weeks, couple months, couple years later, a lot of people end up giving into that urge because it becomes so overwhelming that it's almost impossible to resist. So like what happened with me over and over again is I would claim to quit drinking. I did this so many times and I'd be really excited, really motivated, really committed. And then couple days, couple weeks, couple months went by and I was basically white knuckling it. The longer I went without drinking, the more I wanted to drink. And then one little thing could set me off. It could be a good thing, like, oh, it's Friday and the girls are going out and okay, screw it, I want to have a drink tonight. Or a terrible thing, a death or something, bad happening in life. One little thing, whatever it was, would just set me off and I'd be like, screw it, I'm going to drink. But the only reason I wanted to drink is because, again, that desire that craving was there. If I wasn't desiring alcohol, I wasn't going to drink it. I didn't desire a cigarette. I didn't desire any other drugs. So I wasn't going out and doing those. It was alcohol. And now looking back, what I know about the brain and alcohol addiction, essentially my brain was hijacked by the alcohol addiction. It was wired to crave the alcohol because it was so used to getting that reward from it. And just by abstaining from alcohol for a period of time, even an extended period of time, I made it 6 months one time, that craving never went away. My brain had changed. And so even though I wasn't drinking, I was still thinking about drinking and wanting to drink all of the time. And I really believe this is the reason that so many people end up relapsing. 80% or more of people relapse because we just simply want to drink. And the desire is so strong that it's this craving and compulsion. It's not just a passing thought that we can allow to go away. It becomes an obsession in a way to where eventually we end up giving in to it. And sure, we might have trauma. I know I have trauma. I think we all have trauma in our life from what I've learned from trauma therapists. Big trauma, big T, little t trauma. But I personally was able to quit drinking without ever working on any of my trauma. In fact, I've been sober for several years, and that is when I started working on my trauma. And the reason that I was finally able to quit drinking is because I stopped liking alcohol. The desire for it completely went away. And I just didn't care about it anymore. In fact, the thought of drinking sounded a little bit gross to me. And the reason that this happened is because my brain got fixed. My brain was hijacked by an alcohol addiction for nearly 10 years where I just wanted to drink every day. And I tried to quit drinking dozens of times and would eventually give into it. But then I went on a treatment called the Sinclair Method that's been around for decades. I didn't discover this treatment, I just stumbled on it. And through this treatment, it actually reverses the alcohol addiction in the brain over time by continuing to drink, actually, oddly enough. You continue to drink, but your brain doesn't get the same reward from alcohol anymore. And so over time, as I was continuing to drink while doing this treatment, my brain was unlearning the alcohol addiction. And after about 9 months on this treatment, I just didn't want to drink anymore. In fact, I tell people I would forget to drink because days, weeks, and months started going by where I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't drank in 2 weeks, or I haven't drank in 2 months. And it wasn't because I was trying to not drink. I just didn't care about drinking anymore. So I wasn't drinking anymore. And let me tell you, this is a stark contrast to trying to quit drinking before this treatment, where even though I could make it 6 months sober, every day I wanted to drink. It was a fight. I would avoid people, places, situations just so I wouldn't be triggered to drink. And I feared a relapse every single day. Like, okay, I just don't want to relapse today. Just like, hang on one more day. And that was my life. So again, even though I wasn't drinking, I was not free from the alcohol. But with this treatment, I just didn't care about alcohol anymore. It was literally effortless not to drink. It was actually more work for me to drink because I just didn't care about it anymore. I didn't want to do it anymore. And like I said, I got sober in 2018 and I did it through this treatment protocol. And I didn't do any like deep trauma work or uncover any like childhood wounds that I needed to heal. In fact, that stuff I've only been working on in the last couple of years, like after I'd been sober for several years. And I think trauma work and all of that stuff is really, really valuable. But I also don't think that like we can ever like fully heal from trauma. Like wounds and stuff are always there. So while I appreciate that trauma work should and could be a part of a recovery journey, I think it's actually harming a lot of people when we tell them that they just need to get to the root of their trauma and then they won't want to drink anymore. Because I tried doing that stuff, and I work with people now in this field, and I've talked to a lot of people where they're like, I went to talk therapy for years. Like I talked through and healed everything, but I still wanted to drink every day. That craving was still there to drink every day. And even people I talk to who have really good lives, they love their family, they love their jobs, but they still drink every day because their brain is hijacked by the addiction. It doesn't have anything to do with some type of trauma. Their brain has just changed. And so this isn't like a blanket statement to say that, nobody needs trauma work. It's a brain issue. I think it's more complex than that. But I think it's just kind of too much of a blanket statement when I hear people talk about the fact that, well, in order to heal from addictions, you just need to get to the root of the trauma. In my case, that was not true. I've seen that to be the case for so many other people. It's more about the neuroscience of the addiction and the fact that the brain can get hijacked by alcohol just by drinking and repeatedly drinking to excess over time. And when that happens, the craving and compulsion to drink kind of takes over. And even if we, try to quit and try to do trauma work, what happened for me is I'd be in a therapy session and I'd be like, oh, I just want to drink. I just want to drink. I'd be thinking about drinking. And so the therapist would be talking to me about, my childhood or issues or whatever. And it's just like all I was thinking about was drinking. It was hard to focus on the actual work. And so with the treatment I used, the Sinclair Method, it quieted the craving in my mind to where the craving completely went away within about 8 months. And I actually had the mental space and the emotional space to do that inner work. So just wanted to speak to that because I think a lot of people can get stuck in like doing all this trauma work and yet they still want to drink and they feel crazy for it. When really maybe if they just address the neurological issue of the desire and the craving for alcohol, it could be the missing piece for them. All my videos are about this treatment. I'm a huge advocate and I run a program supporting people through it. You can learn more about it with the link in my profile or head to my website, thrivealcoholrecovery.com. I genuinely hope this information is helpful for you.